welcome back to the Cooldown Room. Today I'm joined with the amazing Neil.
Hello
Hi, Neil.
guys, it's me
Hello.
again.
He's back, our
I am back.
local racing driver, kart legend.
Well, local is a strong word, given that I think I'm about like 8,000 kilometers away from you right now.
He's not local
But,
anymore.
I am not local, no,
He's
unfortunately.
local to the Cooldown Room, which is global.
That's so real, that's so real, honestly.
Yeah.
I am actively, this is the Cooldown Room, in which we are
Room.
sitting.
We are sat in the Cooldown
Me,
Room.
Lucy, and you, who is listening
Yeah.
right now. All of us together are sitting in the Cooldown Room.
We are all in the Cooldown Room.
Anyway.
Yes. So we're currently in the off week of the F1 season. We've just had two races, the Bahrain Grand Prix and the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We currently have not had a race this weekend, so we're doing a random episode where we just talk about Formula One.
I like racing. I love talking about racing.
We love racing.
Amazing.
So we've decided the topic of today's video is going to be about the F1 calendar, the tracks that are on it. Mainly just talking about the tracks from the perspective of someone who has driven a lot of these tracks on the sim, and has a lot to say about them. So I guess, Neil, do you have
and yours as a say, like your perspective as well, hopefully.
My perspective as a fan. Yay.
Yes, so true.
No,
so
true. I do have some favorite tracks. But I guess I'll start by asking you, do you have a favorite track? I know you don't tend to have favorites of anything.
I don't think so. I used to say Suzuka was my favorite track, but I don't know if it is anymore. Like, and not that I don't like it anymore. It's just like, I don't know. They're all different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're not like. I would not take any track in exclusion of every other track, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so for me,
I think you do have a favorite, don't you?
I have three favorites. So
you have three favorites?
Yes.
Oh my god, guys.
So Interlagos is one of my absolute favorites. I just remember races from when I was younger. It brings back some great memories. I feel like Brazil always brings a 10 out of 10 race. I can't remember a boring one at Interlagos. I just love how the layout is. I love the vibe of the track. I just think it's great. And it's cool to look at as well, just as a viewer, seeing them kind of sweep around the S's. Like, Silverstone, obviously. Being British,
yes.
It's my home track. I've
been F1
there.
British bias all the time, guys. All the time. Honestly,
the Cooldown Room.
This has been manipulated, man. This is so not right.
Yes.
Anyway.
I mean, I've been to Silverstone multiple times now, both for F1
That's
and
true.
not for F1. I feel like I've seen the whole track. I feel like it's part of me at this point,
That's
you know?
true.
It's an extension of my house.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in the pit lane, I've been in the wing building, I've been across the bridge that goes over the track, I've been in the grandstands, I've been in some other grandstands, I've been in a building with a balcony that overlooks the track, and I know, Neil, you were there for that as well. That was
so real, so real. That was the UTC. That was the UTC. That's what it stands for, actually. You love to see. That's what UTC stands for. You love to see it. That's a little known fact. That's a Cooldown Room exclusive right there. You guys can take that home with you.
Oh wow. So yeah, I feel like I've seen Silverstone for sure. And then Bahrain is my other favorite. I feel like in F1 it wasn't the most exciting race this year, but I just generally like the track. It's probably the track I'm most familiar with the layout of besides Silverstone, because I've played some of the F1 games and it's the first one in the calendar on those. So I always
Which one though?
From
because in F1 2018, which you played a lot, Australia's the first one.
True.
The only reason I know Albert Park's layout.
Right.
Like, off the top of my head.
Yeah, so it started off with Albert Park, but then Bahrain, I think I played 2020. I don't know, but I feel like I've driven on it a lot in the games.
Yeah. That's reasonable. It is the second one in 18 and 19. So
yeah, so it's right
not
up
too far
there.
off.
And in terms of other series, I've watched Formula 2, Formula 3 there, and I just really enjoyed the racing. Something that I'll always remember is that one moment, I think it was F2 2021.
Yeah, it was.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking? With Piastri?
Yes, I do know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's the one with the Oscar Piastri one, right?
Yeah.
Other two.
So
Yeah,
they're like coming down the main straight. They're like, who's gonna come out in front? And then Oscar Piastri like zooms into view. It's Oscar Piastri. And then they like come around this corner and there's like those chaos. It's so good. It's so good. So yeah, shout out to the Bahrain International Circuit. It's a bit of a random choice.
I love you, buddy.
Yeah, I feel like people don't always think of that one. You know, when you ask someone their favorite track, a lot of people are just gonna say Spa, Silverstone, Interlagos.
It's surprising, actually. I haven't seen a lot of the newer fans get, like, the ones who got into the sport in the past, like, maybe 3-4 years. I haven't seen as many people liking Spa, and I kind of understand why that is. You know what I mean? Because in terms of F1, at least, it's nowhere near... And I remember you got a lot of heat on Twitter for saying this one time.
Yeah.
Spa isn't necessarily the best track for overtaking, and other than the camel straight, right? And a lot of people... A, don't understand that. B, don't want to hear that. Because in their mind, they think bad for overtaking equals like Monaco, Paul Ricard, oh no, Hungaroring, ew, that's disgusting. How could you call my beloved Spa that? When in reality, hard to overtake is not equal bad. In fact, in a lot of cases, Spa especially, in my opinion, hard to overtake can in fact mean more exciting because they have to work so much harder to get it done. So when they do get it done, it's amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So... Yeah, but I have definitely seen a lack of as much passion from the newer fans for Spa and Monza. They still do, but Spa, Monza are the two like very basic responses that everyone used to give, which I have seen a drop off of recently.
Monza's cool though. I feel like there's like
Monza's okay.
Magical Monza vibes, you know.
Yeah, but that kind of applies to any track. It's just like, I don't know, like every country which likes F1. It's like, oh my god, that's so magic. The atmosphere, oh my god. And like, obviously, Ferrari fans and Italians and all that are going to be like, oh my god, the Tifosi atmosphere in Monza, it's so amazing. There's nothing like it. And the British people are going to be like, oh my god, Silverstone, the vibe, the buzz around the paddock is just amazing. And it's like, yeah, of course you're going to think that. It's your home track. Like, I mean, F1 just has that kind of buzz around it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But like, I feel like that's not a good metric. You know what I mean? Because there's no like sterile, sanitized feeling track. It's only the ones which... The only ones that come across that way are the ones where the fans are predisposed to going in thinking it's going to be bad. Right. Like if you take like Shanghai, okay, admittedly we haven't been there in a hot minute, but like Shanghai is associated with like, oh, I mean it's just whatever, Chinese Grand Prix, you know, whatever. Like, but compared to Suzuka, which is like, oh my god, the Japanese fans are amazing. They'll come with a full Sebastian Vettel cosplay, and oh my god, they made an F1 car hat, and it's like, yeah, Chinese people also did that. Like, I like they all. It's very similar in terms of the vibe.
I didn't know that.
Admittedly, exactly. You know what I mean? It's like it's just not as popularly talked about because people don't want to like Shanghai circuit because it's Tilkatrim, whatever. It's just like whatever.
See, I quite
Suzuka. Like... Oh my god, my baby Senna, he drove there in the flip flops one time in an NSX. Like, okay, yeah, all right. It's a racetrack. Yes, it's a nice track. So are the other ones, though. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So
I like
Shanghai. It's one of those things. It's nice.
I like the monster turn one. Like that is so fun to me.
Yeah, it is quite entertaining turn one. Although I think Sepang has an almost identical turn 1 and 2. So if we had to choose between two, I'd probably have to go with Sepang.
Fair enough. I feel like Shanghai for me is one of those tracks. Again, it's right towards the beginning of the calendar in like F1 2018.
It's the third one in 2018.
So I've driven around it quite a lot. It was also I got my first ever win in F1 2018 on that.
Oh my god,
track.
Let's go!
I was so proud of myself. Well, we won't talk about the fact that all the AI was set to easy.
That's fine.
But that's fine. And matter. I was in a Toro Rosso.
We take those.
So
we take those every day of the week.
Absolutely gapped the field.
Yeah, it's too easy. It's way too easy.
I love that. I feel like something that makes a track really good for me is when they have like a really cool bit. So I don't know how to explain
Which is the cool bit in your mind for Shanghai?
So there's fast bit at the end. I don't know how to explain it. There's like a
at the end, like all
hairpin.
The few final corners.
Yeah, like
the 3
so
penultimate
really
yeah, I know what you mean.
There's a DRS straight, and then
I know the one.
Yeah, that one's really cool. And there's like the corner before that as well, where you kind of like go round the corner.
I hate that one. I really hate that one. Because the F1 games, they are incredibly unrealistic in getting on the traction. So it's like, you'll be like 10% throttle at like 250 kph, you have like 3 million kilos of downforce on the car and you still can't go flat out. And it's like, oh, this is silly, guys. This is silly. And if you do, then it's like, okay, yeah, fine. You'll get through. Your tires are like 278 degrees on the exit. And then you instantly die when you reach the next corner. Like Sebastian Buemi in the Toro Rosso in 2010. You'll hit the brakes and both front tires will go flying off the car at the same time. Like... that kind of
Which
thing.
Track
it was actually
that?
at that exact corner as well.
Really?
Anyway, I'm not a huge fan of it.
Wow.
But it's also Yeah, the reason mainly though being that I don't actually in Sims and all, I don't actually race in F1 because that much I don't race the F1 game at all. So I usually stick to the European tracks, because that's what the other series mostly stick to, or the popular ones in the international community. As we know, motorsport is a very Eurocentric thing. So yes, there are tracks all over the place, but we don't use them as much as Spa Monza, Hungaroring, Brandsart, Silverstone, Donington Park, like all of those ones. So I know those ones better. So Shanghai is just one of those ones where it's like, yeah, I appreciate it a lot, but it's also like, I don't have that like familiarity feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. I was gonna say something insightful, but I forgot.
That's reasonable. It happens to the best of us.
It does.
I just took ADHD medication like an hour ago, so I'm like as alive and awake as one can, as I can be.
I love that. The mind is focused and clear.
I'm sure if I did like actual hard drugs, I could be alive, but that's not legal or safe, guys. Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
It's expensive. You can spend that money on racing instead.
Exactly.
Always remember that, guys.
So actually, let's talk about spending that money on racing. Kart tracks.
Yes, let's.
While we talk about tracks.
Yes.
Tell me about some of the kart tracks you've driven at. I was going to ask you to pick a favorite, but that's not going to happen, is it?
No, I can't actually pick a favorite because I do actually know which my favorite karting track is.
Go ahead.
It's PFI in the UK. I'm a big fan of PFI. PFI, best track ever all time. It's so easy clear of everything else. I've driven quite a few UK tracks. I've driven like 3 or 4 Indian tracks. To be honest, there are only like 5 or 6 like good ones in India. But like in the UK, they're pretty decent. I've driven PFI, Wilton Mill, Buckmore Park, and a couple of others as well. But those are the main 3. And to me, PFI just has that like that feel. You know, it feels cool. It feels so much like more legit than the others. And that's saying something because Buckmore Park and Wilton Mill are not like shady tracks. You know, but by no means are they shady tracks. But like PFI feels like it's on that next level in terms of like production value. You know what I mean? Like it has a full pit lane. It has like a separate building that is the paddock. It has like separate garage buildings. Wilton Mill is like, you go from the park, the paddock. Actually, what the biggest revelation from becoming just like a racing watcher to a racing driver was the concept of a paddock. That's the most deceptive thing I've ever heard in my life. People are like, oh yeah, the paddock. It's like, oh, like all of the things are set up there. Like, yeah, okay, but like it's a parking lot, guys. Like, why do you think they set up there? It's because that's where the truck's parked. Like, that's the parking lot. So yeah, Wilton Mill has a gigantic parking lot, and you just are operating out of the back of your car there, which is also why I wear my race suit to the track. All my teammates change when they get to the track into their suit. I don't want to do that because it's cold and wet and miserable in the UK most of the time. And changing in a paddock, parking lot, in the mud, it's just not nice, right? And geniusly, right? Me and Abruzzi, not sponsored, but amazing. I have black like leg sections of the suit. So when I'm wearing a t-shirt or like a coat on top of it, it just looks like pants. It just looks like black trousers. I'm not British. Only British people think pants mean underwear. I am not one of those people, guys. I am not British. Salute.
I am one of those people.
Anyway, so I don't want to operate out of like literally a patch of mud. So but PFI, it has like a building. It has like locker rooms and stuff like that. A little bit like Daytona at Tamworth, which we went to.
Yes.
Like even better than that. You know what I mean? So I really like it, and also, it's just a very cool layout in my opinion because it has straights, it has corners, it's a figure of 8 track with a bridge that goes on top. It's lovely, and it's not excessively bumpy. It's not like, it's a pretty normal track. There's nothing like special about it other than the fact that it's just good. It's just really good, right? As compared to like Buckmore Park, you don't get a single break at Buckmore Park. There's no straights at Buckmore Park. You get like maybe 3 seconds of total non-steering wheel moving time. Otherwise, you're always in a corner. And that's tiring, man. It's really tiring. Like, it's not as fun to race like that. Compared to PFI, where you have a lot of time. Okay, not a lot of time, but like at least a few seconds per lap to think about what's going on. Like, you can see, oh, has he gained? Has he lost? Am I gaining on the cars and carts in front? Can I set up a move? All this kind of stuff. There's a lot you can think about. Buckmore Park is just like survive. Hopefully someone doesn't overtake you. If they do, whatever. Like that kind of thing. And Wilton Mill is it's great. It's very, very, very bumpy on the main straight. So you kind of just die. So yeah, I mean, Wilton Mill is great though, to be fair. PFI, it does take the cake in my opinion though, and also it's the closest to where we are operating from, our operating base in Nottingham, University of Nottingham. It's only 40 minutes away. It's our home track, guys. Now technically there is Nottingham Raceway and Team Sport Nottingham, but I'm not counting those because they are not as good. In terms of like proper like tracks, PFI is the go-to track of all time, honestly.
Okay, so
what about you? Do you have a favorite karting track?
I mean, I've only driven at one, which is Daytona Tamworth.
Yes.
Am I remembering that correctly?
That is true.
Okay, yeah. It was pretty fun. It was pretty scary.
It was very bouncy. It was very, very bouncy.
Yeah, just to let our listeners know, I was so bad. I was the worst. Well, actually, I was the second worst.
You weren't bad. You were just slow.
I was slow.
There's a difference. There is a difference.
I was a great backmarker. I kept out of everyone's way.
You backmarked very well. You did backmark incredibly adeptly.
I backmarked so well that no one even knew I was backmarking.
Yeah. No, she was so far out of the way to let us through without impeding us that on my GoPro footage, we struggled to find her. In fact, I have like maybe 10 total seconds of footage.
We were literally going frame by frame.
Literally, we watched the entire thing. We're like, is this you? Is this you? And then it never was. Like,
and you could tell it was me because I was doing this like old lady posture. I was like,
no, the way she was sitting in the cart. So usually you'll sit with your like your back is against the seat, your shoulders are normal, your hands are on the wheel like this, and you're looking forward, right? She was sitting like that, but her head was like you can't even tell from this angle. Sorry for our audio only listeners. I forgot this is audio only. My deepest apologies. Right? But she sits normally, but her head is just like insanely far forward. Yeah, and it just looks a bit strange. It's just like a hunchback eagle type look. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's not very good for your spine. It's gamer posture. In reality,
it is gamer posture.
And as someone who I've never gamed in my life actually, guys. This is sarcasm /s, guys. This is sarcasm. I've never gamed in my life. Obviously, I've never ever gamed. I would never sit like that. But I can call LastLapLucy out for sitting like that.
Yeah,
definitely.
He did have a good laugh at me afterwards. When
it
I
was
got
funny.
out.
It was really funny.
I deserved it, to be honest. No one told me how to sit in the car. They were like, you have to tie your hair back. And I was really scared that my hair was going to get caught in the engine because they were all like, oh, you have to tie your hair back and tuck it into your race suit. Do not let it get stuck in the engine behind.
It's not really that big of an issue on the karts we were driving because the karts we were driving, they were, for those who know what that looks like, they were these 30 RT8 rentals. And those models, they have like full like plastic coverings for literally every mechanical component. So, but compared to like actual proper karts, like you can actually get your hair like tangled on the rear axle, and that's at best it's incredibly painful. Right? So I mean, you have a like race suit, so you might as well tuck it in, for safety.
I was so scared.
But in this,
I was like, I don't want to get scalped,
It wouldn't scalp you. It would just be very startling, and it would hurt. It would definitely.
That would have caused me great distress. I was already startled enough driving around.
It would definitely have caused you some distress. Definitely.
Some definite distress. Okay, so I have a question. I guess you're probably the best person to ask this because you're hopefully going to know.
Really?
So we've seen some clips in F1 where they're at the F1 track, but there's also a karting track. Spa comes to mind, Bahrain comes to mind.
Spa,
as well.
yes.
Why is the karting track that's right next to the racetrack? Why is
because
that? I'm getting there for quite.
Okay, go on. Sorry. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Why is it not the same layout as why is it not a mini version?
I have thought the same thing for the past 2 years. Honestly, it's silly. It's very, very silly. They have made tracks like that for Assetto Corsa, which is a sim. During the pandemic, they called them GPK karts, like tracks, like Grand Prix karting. Just for fun, because during the pandemic, people were just doing whatever, because everyone was in the sim instead of on track in real life. Those who were on in the sim before, and like everyone else as well. So, and honestly, they're better. I don't get it personally. Spa karting comes to mind as a great example. It's a good karting track, but it would have been so much more entertaining if it were just mini full layout Spa. Like that would have been so fun. That would have been great. Honestly, I'm upset. I'm very upset that they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not right at all. Honestly, it's an injustice. Silverstone as a kart track would be sick, honestly. If they scale it, like, proportionally. So imagine an F1 car is 1 car wide. Obviously, there is an X number of meters. Forget that. That doesn't matter. So say a particular portion of the track is 1.75 cars wide. It should be, if for the karting equivalent, 1.75 karts wide as well. Because karts are, like, almost exactly 1 meter. It's like 1.3 meters on the rear axle.
Yeah.
in terms of width. So you can pretty easily make that in the same amount of like land owned, right?
Yeah.
They should have done that. Honestly, it's crazy that they didn't do that. I'm upset that they didn't do that.
It's always a question because sometimes, there's a red flag or something and they cut to what's going on at the track and I'm always like, why is it random? Why have they just made like...
There's a couple of things. There's a couple of things I thought about that whenever that happens, by the way. Like, first is like, it's crazy how much pressure you're under. Like, because you sign up for a rental session, a ride and drive session, you pay at 20 quid or whatever to do 10 minutes. You're just driving around peacefully and then suddenly you have like 1 million viewers watching you and you don't even know it's happened until like afterwards, right? And I would hate to be that guy during Spa 2021 where he got like maybe 10 seconds of like international coverage on the TV of his motorsport experience and he binned it on the gravel. Like, that is unfortunate. There is no other word for it. Unfortunate, right? But also, right?
The fact that I remember this 2 years later.
If you're at a karting track, right? If you're at a karting track, like, and you're doing like a full outdoor track karting session, surely like you have some level of liking of motorsport, right? Why would you do an arrive and drive karting session at the same time as an F1 Grand Prix? What logic is that? That doesn't make any sense. Unless now they know something might happen and they might get on the... Like, I could see that happening, but like, before that became a common thing, why would you ever do that? Like, I would just be watching the race. I have watched races from kart tracks before, like many times. We never go out during the race.
Yeah. Maybe it's people...
I've only actually done it one time. I have actually been on track during an F1 Grand Prix one time by mistake, and it was the 2020 Austrian Grand Prix. The first one, I think, or the second one.
Okay, the first one was good. I'm sure you were there for that.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I was there for the first one. It was the second one. For context, for listeners who don't remember off the top of their heads, this was the first year of the pandemic. And the one which was effectively the one where the season was strongly affected by the lockdown. So we started the season in like mid-July with 2 rounds back to back at the Red Bull Ring.
Yes.
So this was the second one. It was my friend's birthday and we were doing karting together on that day. And our plan was, right, we would book like 3 or 4 karting sessions of like 10 minutes each, do them, and then we were scheduled to be done like as the race build-up was starting, and we'd watch it at the track and then go home, right? Now, it didn't end up going like that. There were other people at the track and we had to wait for the queuing and all that. So I was doing my final session during the first like 3 laps of the Grand Prix. That was not fun because I think there was some drama relating to Charles Leclerc smashing his wing into 1 million pieces.
I do remember
before
that.
having like an amazing comeback. And he
did he go into the back
Pierre out as well, I think.
Yeah.
He did. It's easy to do, but still, like, it's unfortunate.
Especially
because he got driver of the day from the comeback.
I hate when that happens, actually. When a driver
it's good
really
fun.
messes up and
it's very
Ricardo or Perez would qualify really badly. And
to be fair, Alex Albon. Like, I feel like
he didn't get driver of the day. Alex never got driver of the day.
Did he not?
No, he never did.
Like, he'd be like, oh wow, what a comeback. No, actually, you're right. I'll tell you why. Because they wanted him to come back to a podium position with Verstappen second.
They
didn't want Ham ver Bart. They wanted Ham ver Alb, where Alb is starting in like P19. That's what they wanted, actually. Which doesn't make any sense. Like, no one is doing that. Not even Verstappen is doing that. Actually, he is. But aside from Verstappen, no one else is doing that.
Yeah. So
I was about to say, even Verstappen isn't, but that hasn't aged well given what happened in Saudi. 15th to second.
So what is the lowest someone's ever started a race and then won? I'm trying to remember.
And then won. I believe it was 18th. I think it was 18th.
When?
It was a long time ago. Wait. Lowest grid. I'm Googling this.
That's all right. While you do that.
It was John Watson, Long Beach in the US in 1983. He started 22nd. Oh my god.
Wow.
Oh my god.
That's not even doable.
Oh my god.
Today.
And Nicky Lauda, his teammate, started 23rd next to him and came second. They got a 1-2 from 22nd.
They really said, "Let me just cut through the pack."
This is a perfect example, by the way, of people are like, "Oh my god, F1 is so boring these days. It was so much more exciting back in the day when the cars could actually fight with each other." What do you mean, bro? Like, like McLaren had so much faster of a car that they could start 22nd and 22nd and 23rd and get a 1-2. Like, the field spread back then, people needed to have pre-qualifying because they were like so far off the pace that there'd be a danger to have in the Grand Prix. Forget the Grand Prix, to be in the qualifying session. They wouldn't qualify to qualify. Like imagine that. No, I mean, to be fair, it makes sense when you have teams like Andrea Moda with like minus $3 million of pre-season budget, right? Who are like, they really don't like one of their drivers, so they intentionally break one of their drivers' steering columns and send them out in Spa qualifying and be like, yeah, take a flat, bro, take a Rouge flat, hoping that he dies so that this is real, by the way, this did happen. Google it. They hoped he would die so that they didn't need to buy him out of his contract because they didn't have the money to do that. And it didn't work. Fortunately, but unfortunately for them, it didn't work. He survived. But they actually genuinely attempted murder on that driver to get away from paying the thing. And obviously the FIA did not like that particularly. They also only had one car, and it wasn't allowed. Like there was a 1 point
hang on, rewind.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they tried to kill that driver because they didn't want to buy him out of the contract, and there was another driver offering more. Obviously, it's a paid driver seat. 99% of the seats are paid driver seats, especially back in those days. So this was no different. There was another guy offering to pay more, but he had already signed this contract for the rest of the season. So they're like, let's kill him. We can make him die because we can't afford to pay him out for his contract, right? So let's just kill him. And they actually did that. Google it. It's called Andrea Moda F1 team. There's been many great video essays on YouTube about it.
I think we need a video essay at this rate.
It's crazy.
Cooldown Room video essay about this at some point.
Yeah, we can do that.
Down.
That can be bonus content instead of the sort of free-form podcasts that we do. We can make like scripted episodes every now and then where we just tell a story.
I'll just be
that would be good fun.
Yeah,
I think WTF1 podcast had that like a few years ago, but WTF1 has been through some changes as of late. So we could take out that mantle. Honestly,
we could be the new WTF1.
We could be LTF1 like
LTF.
Because we don't take dubs compared to them. We have not got millions. LL1. That's so true. Last lap one.
It doesn't work.
No. Lucy, last one.
Well,
that's even worse. No, I didn't mean it like that. I did not mean it like that.
While we're talking about WTF1, actually, I know some of our listeners will be fans of WTF1.
What happened to WTF1?
No, I know what happened to WTF1.
Oh, you're asking to talk to them?
I want to address the listeners.
Yeah.
So obviously they have had some changes in content creators lately. We've got some new people presenting now. They have received some crazy levels of hate recently. Like people have been horrible. Yeah, and it's a huge shame, really. Like any WTF1 video post, just look in the comments and you'll see like a whole range of people just saying nasty things, either saying like, oh, this person doesn't know anything about F1, bring back Matty and Tom, and it's like there's just no need. So it just sucks, and I wish.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely a significant issue on the internet of a lack of ability to just keep scrolling.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
If people say something they don't like, see something they don't like, they see it as an opportunity to farm attention of other people who also don't like it. So they can't just fight off that urge to just ignore it and keep going. Like no one's forcing you to watch it. Like I completely understand people not liking WTF1 after they changed like everything.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. It was a very personality-driven channel, and it's different personalities now.
Yeah, and it all happened
perfectly understandable to not enjoy it anymore. It's perfectly understandable to not enjoy it anymore. Just don't watch it. You don't have to click on the video.
And that's the thing.
Like,
it's not
no one's asking them to do that.
It's not like the two previous hosts, Matt and Tom, have like gone anywhere. Well, they
exactly.
They've gone somewhere, but it's like they're still making content.
I know this is a touchy subject for you specifically because of past beefs on Twitter, but they pulled a Jeremy Clarkson. They got fired from their original show, which was popping off like crazy, and they made their own off-brand ripoff of it to do the exact same thing under a different channel. And it is working well, as it did for Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah, I mean, they're having great success, and I do wish them the best. I mean, I've met Matt Gallagher. He's lovely. So,
Matt Gallagher, see, the thing is, I don't know Matt Gallagher, but one thing I can say about him for sure, without a doubt, even without knowing him, he is an absolute mastermind at playing the game of social media. He is so good at it, and I envy that skill like a lot. Like he's really, really good.
Yeah.
Like honestly, it's insane. Like he can crank out posts like it's like he is the F1. He is F1 Twitter. It's not like everyone else is just like it's a microcosm of his own brain. Each neuron is represented by one account on F1 Twitter. It's insane how tuned in he is to it. And it's to the extent where he's not tuned into it. Everyone else is just, it's all his world and everyone else is just living in it. I say everyone else because today I uninstalled Twitter. Let's go, because I apparently got hacked last night and I'm like, I'm not dealing with this. And I deactivated my account.
I deactivated my account. You got hacked on Instagram before?
I did also get hacked on Instagram, but it seems to be an independent incident. But yeah, I fixed that
Oh
as well.
my
I have not
goodness.
deleted Instagram, guys.
Did
Follow
you
me on
not
Instagram
have?
at @NeilBassi guys.
Yes,
But
do it.
I did as well. Yeah, I did have two-factor.
I love
And
that you knew.
I had one of those like password manager auto-generated passwords with like a million characters, a million special characters, a million upper and lowercase mix. Like it's insane. I don't know what my password was. It was that level. I needed to get the manager to autofill it.
Wow.
But I hear there have been some huge YouTubers hacked as well as of the last week. So I would imagine it's something kind of relating to that, especially because when they did hack you, the way you got to know was it got changed into a Bitcoin scam page, relating to like Tesla and being like, oh yeah, if you give us Bitcoin, we'll give you double. And it was the same on my Instagram. So I assume there's something going on the social media platform side relating to that. I just realized this is an F1 podcast and I've gone completely off the rails, but it's okay, guys. We are here for the personalities of.
Absolutely. So yeah, I guess to finish the point I was making, just be nice. Support your favorite creators like me and like Neil.
And like exactly like us, actually. In fact, we obviously would love to spread the message that love and support, or more important than forget love and support, empathy is the most important thing. Don't forget that they are human beings reading it. But more importantly than that, we are human beings. If no one else gets the love, at least give it to us. At least make sure that I'm just kidding. Everyone deserves human empathy. That's a pretty basic thing that you do need to. I feel you do need to learn as a human being. But yeah, that aside, WTF1, I'm sure they will bounce back eventually. Absolutely, but I don't see it happening anytime soon.
They've got some great personalities on. Like I've listened to a few of the videos and stuff, and they make some really good points. Dre especially is very,
definitely
very
I feel a different target audience though, and that's okay. Like the audience will cycle through eventually.
Yeah.
Like
and things change, and that's the
like
thing.
For example, for like Top Gear to Grand Tour, like the new Top Gear hosts, they're not like that bad. Like they're just not at all the same, and that's okay. They're not the same people, right? You can't expect them to do the same thing. So it's taken like 2 or 3 years. But now the current Top Gear watchers of the current BBC Top Gear, they like the show. Like it's apparently a pretty good show. I don't watch it because I don't actually. Now that I think about it, I don't actually watch much of anything other than
that's okay.
But, I used to watch it, and apparently it's not bad nowadays. So yeah, people will get used to it. Definitely, just give it time, And in the meantime, don't harass people, guys. They're just human beings trying to live their lives, have a good time,
Yeah. And they're all working really hard as well. I know that. And
no, but either way, they do deserve basic human like rights.
Yeah. So moving back to the actual topic of the video,
which so true.
Were we meant to be talking about racetracks?
Oh yeah, we were as well. Oh yeah. Nah, it's okay. We were still on topic about like the motorsport community.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, what do you think makes a good F1 track? Like, what are the components?
That is a very complicated question because the definition of a good track varies hugely between me and I feel the majority of people on Twitter, which is another reason I'm glad I'm not on it anymore. Yeah, I like it. I don't know if I think the same about what makes a good track. For example, for me, Hungaroring, SS plus tier, best track of all time, goated contender, amazing track. But I don't think the general community likes it as much because they're like, oh my god, you can't overtake. Like, okay, so what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, overtaking is not the only thing that happens in an F1 race.
But why is Hungaroring for you such a good track? Like, what makes
for me, Hungaroring is such a great track because of the fact, it's a couple of things actually. A couple of them are more general and a couple are definitely personal to me. The more general stuff is like, I think it's a really good layout in terms of just seeing an F1 car on the limit of what is physically possible on a track like Hungaroring. Take like the second sector, even like turn 4, which is the uphill blind left-hander, that kind of thing. The second sector where it's like almost entirely like fourth gear, you barely touch the brakes. Like it's so sick to watch. Like the onboard hot lap in 2020 of the W11 Lewis's pole lap, it's amazing. It's genuinely, I was like breathless. I was like, oh my god, this is crazy, right? And it's really like, I'm super enthralled just watching a car go around that track at speed, no matter what the circumstances. So even honestly, if the Grand Prix is hella boring and it's like everyone is going single file, I don't care. Like it's still so much fun to me to watch that.
Yeah.
To watch that track, as compared to like for the more personal stuff, the reason I particularly like it a lot is it was one of the first tracks I was able to drive in the sim in a competitive context, which was fully laser scanned and millimeter accurate. So like I knew like invisible bump. Invisible as in like, yeah, okay, if you like put your head right next to the circuit, you'd probably be able to see it. But it's the kind of ones which you'd only see like when you're driving over it, you'd feel it and you'd hear it, that kind of thing. It's those kinds of bumps I could like identify and learn. Like I felt like I really knew the place before F1 had gone there for that season, and then watching the actual like sessions on TV, I was like, this is insane. Like, whoa, I know that bump. I know that place where dust accumulates. Oh my god, that's crazy. Like that was such a cool experience for me that like I will always have a special place. Other than the fact that it's also really fun. It's a really fun track to drive for the exact same reason as like why I think it's great to watch an F1 car go down.
You mentioned laser scanning a track. So
yes,
that makes it accurate when you're driving on the sim. But how do they laser scan a track? Like, what's the process?
So it depends. So different companies do it differently. The sim I'm driving, I believe they send a van with a laser scanning thing on like a huge tripod on the back, and it drives like a slow lap around the track, and they really like scan the whole surface texture of the road. Like each like basically tarmac is made out of a bunch of stones with tar goo put in between them, right? So each shape of each individual stone, basically. Other sim companies do it by like they position the tripods at various parts of the track and they do like a sweeping scan, like iRacing does that, for example. And I don't exactly know which one the F1 teams use, but I know for a fact that I think all of the F1 teams use the same laser scan data because they found it's a lot more of a beneficial thing for everyone involved if they just agree to pay each other for one scan to go instead of each of them individually going and scanning it. But it is an incredibly expensive and time-consuming and difficult process to do. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, but clearly it makes a big difference.
It is worth it. It is for sure worth it, and definitely even with consumer-grade sims like the ones you can just like buy as a Steam game on your laptop, even those ones, it's very, very hard to like release a new sim game these days and not have laser scan tracks. Like people are gonna be like, bro, like what are you doing? Like we've had laser scan tracks in like consumer grade games since like 2019. Like what are we playing at here? I'm looking at you, Codemaster, the official F1 game. What are we doing here, guys? We have not updated our track since like 2011, guys. What are we doing, guys? Anyway, it has to be said. It simply has to be said.
Yeah. So I saw a tweet a few days ago, or maybe I don't know. And I can't remember who it was that put it out, but shout out to it if it was you.
Shout out to that person for real.
Shout out to that person.
You are a real one writing script topics or conversation bullet points for the LastLapLucy. What is it called? Cooldown Room. But I almost said the LastLapLucy podcast. No, that's not quite right. Anyway, yeah, go on.
Yeah, so it basically asked if you could go to any F1 track, past or present, to watch a race, which one would you go to?
What do you think? Which one would you go to?
Which one would you go to?
I asked you first. This is the manipulator, man.
Well, assuming it's
that's not true. Actually, I just completely lied about that. But you did ask me first. But I'm gonna make you answer.
It's okay.
Anyway.
It's okay. So assuming it's all expenses paid.
Yeah, assuming money is no object. Like that's literally not a factor.
There's some top contenders for me. Las Vegas. I know this is a controversial one, right? Because we haven't actually seen Las Vegas.
I'm sure it'll be fun to be there. Like Las Vegas is like it's the party destination. Right? So I'm sure. Actually, I don't know, for people like us, we are neurodivergent. We are not party type people. I'm obviously this LastLapLucy. I'm talking to the listeners when I say this. But like we are definitely not Las Vegas type people. So I actually don't know. I think
I've been to Las Vegas.
I don't know if you would like it that much.
Las Vegas was rather
Las Vegas in the context of like a proper event on the strip with like many R-rated things that I can't say, like just in general, because my soul will be stained forever. Not because it's a swear word. It's just a crime against humanity. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. I'm sure there's plenty of that going on in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we all saw that scene from Percy Jackson, the first movie, where they get hypnotized.
The life-changing scene.
Las Vegas. And that they will be like that for real. They will be boxing every single lap because they don't realize that they have been hypnotized by the new pink tires that they got put on, the Lotus tires. They don't realize. It's gonna be like that basically. This is one of the most insane jokes I've done.
Las Vegas
and it's on the podcast. It's going in, baby. Let's go.
Jackson.
Anyway,
shout out to Percy Jackson.
Shout out Percy Jackson. He was a real one. He would be at least 4/10 of the pace for real.
He would.
But he would drive well in the rain.
Yeah.
Because he has the water manipulating abilities from being the son of Poseidon. Honestly, Nepo baby, to be fair. But he would be the real rain master because he could drive on slicks in the rain purely because of the fact that what do wet tires do? they get the water out of the way so that the rest of the rubber on the tire can touch the tarmac. He can just do that with his mind. He can just move the water out of the way on the specific line
We
he's
love
on,
that.
drive over it, and behind him put the water back so the other drivers can't use it. You know,
He's so right.
That's great.
So yeah, Las Vegas. I hear it's going to be quite the spectacle. Am I a party person? Absolutely not. But am I going to enjoy it? Probably.
I'm sure you will.
Imagine the social media, you know, the photos.
Yeah, the content would be insane. We may not be party people, but we have the posting mental illness.
Yes.
There's a specific brand of mental illness where we post a lot and we have content brain. Everything is through the lens of content first and then everything else second.
Yes.
And honestly, it's a curse, but in this situation, it's a blessing because Las Vegas Grand Prix. Let's go, guys. Also, it got you a job. So aside from that, it's a curse.
Yes. So I was at Autosport.
Oh, me? Okay,
yeah. No. I'm still going.
Oh, yeah.
My brain didn't brain. So I was at Autosport International and I was accredited media.
Casually flexing. Yeah,
casually flexing.
So I'm just no, but to be fair, it gets balanced out. I tried to speak there. It gets balanced out because unfortunately you did also have to go to Birmingham. So it's okay.
I did have to go to Birmingham.
It's balanced out.
No, it's okay. Birmingham's quite nice, actually.
I mean,
I liked it.
You know what? So guys, I was actually racing last week during the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix weekend, and also so was my University of Nottingham BUKC team, and I was like fighting off the urge like crazy to say on the team WhatsApp group chat, I'm so sorry you have to go to Wales today, guys, because they were racing at Glenigars, which is in Wales. I was like, I'm so sorry you guys have to go to Wales. And then I realized, oh, wait, I can't say that. I'm going to South India. Like, I am not allowed to say that. Like, never mind.
No.
And
Wales
yes, I didn't
nice
say it, but
too.
honestly, I was thinking it.
Okay, so anyway, I was at Autosport International and I was in the media center, and we had a few of us kind of chatting, and it was really interesting because it was my first time being in like a proper big media center.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting hearing the discussions of the people that were going to go to F1 races as media. And a lot of them, they were talking about it rather than saying which races they were going to. They were saying which races they weren't going to. And someone brought up Las Vegas, and they all like, everyone's faces like lit up. Everyone was so excited at the prospect of going to Las Vegas, like just seeing the paddock, seeing the vibe. Every single media personnel is going to try and get there.
Because I assume also that they're whoever they're working for, like I guess like Autosport or whoever they're like, you know what I mean, like the publication that they work for as media journalists. I'm sure they are reimbursing them for some amount of the travel expenses as well.
Absolutely.
So that's a perfect way to go to Las Vegas. The one where you don't have to spend that much money.
Yeah.
That means you have more money to be able to lose in a casino. It's actually 9 million.
Yeah. I was going to say just as long as you don't go in a casino, but actually, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure, I mean, like, yeah, you have some extra lying around. They always say, and this is sound advice, I'm sure, don't ever spend money in a casino that you're not willing to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And that means basically they have more money they're willing to lose. Willing, I don't know, but able to, probably.
I always love telling this story. Well, my mum told it to me. She went to Las Vegas in like 2000 and she beat Vegas. She put like 20p in a machine and like 50p came out.
They say the house always wins. Damn, I didn't know your mum was called the house. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And then she just was like, well, I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. Because she just wanted to put a coin in the machine just to say she'd gambled at Las Vegas. And then she, like, more money came out. And she was like, well, and then she just walked away. And now she can forever say she beat Vegas.
The way you said that, I thought it was going to be like, she thought she should quit while she was ahead. But while she was there, she did one more and lost everything. Like, I was so ready for that. Because that's always how it goes, isn't it?
No.
That's just always how it goes.
Oh
Don't gamble, kids. It's not a good idea. You can instead spend your money on racing and you can become broke that way instead. It's a better way to become broke because at least you'll have a certain amount of fun while doing it. Actually, you probably won't. But like, you can at least have the delusion of thinking you might have fun. Like, it's possible. Never say never.
So it seems like Las Vegas is going to be the type of track where there's just so much going on. Like, it's just going to be such a spectacle. So I would love to see that. However, I would also like to see some other tracks. Monaco has always been a dream of mine since I was about 4 years old. I've always wanted to go. I've never gone. Someone please take me to Monaco. And Singapore, again, for the spectacle. Like, that would just be so cool. I think those would be my top 3. I can't really think of anywhere else that I would.
Would you survive Singapore though? Because I think it's like, yeah, I think it's about as hot as it is here, which is 26.7 degrees inside the room.
Will I survive? I don't know.
Oh, you know what you can do? I'll come with you. Don't worry. I'll come with you. What I'll do is, what my job will be, I will be the like support mechanic. So in karting, the support mechanic will like push the cart trolley with you and stuff like that when you put it up onto the stand. I will be like that, except instead of a cart trolley, it'll be a bin, and instead of a cart, it'll be you, and it'll be one of those ice baths that the drivers do in between sessions. So you can just be in one of those the whole time.
I love it. I'll be like Pierre Gasly, you know, like
exactly like that
in the bin. So what about you? Which track would you want to go to?
That's a good question, you know, and it to me, I think the answer depends because they said what past, present, and future. Future, okay, tracks that don't exist yet. The track which is my neighborhood. No, okay, so past and present, right? Does that mean if I say a past track, does that mean the last cars to have raced at that track, the last F1 cars, or does that mean like current cars at that track?
I guess the last cars to have raced.
Actually, it doesn't matter. Indian Grand Prix, but the international circuit, I would still go for that one.
Nice.
Partially because the V8 cars sound great. Obviously, we all know that. Partially because Sebastian Vettel dominance does fit my fantasy. And also the fact that it's like right here. Like, okay, unfortunately, I would have to go into Uttar Pradesh, but it's okay. I will take the fall. It does happen. It does be like that from time to time.
So for those that don't know, that's like a region of India.
Uttar Pradesh is a state.
A state.
Yeah, like it's a state of the country. It is the one in which both the international circuit resides. I know they call it New Delhi. That's a lie. It's not in New Delhi. Nor am I. I say I'm from Delhi. I'm not. That's a lie. I tell white people because it's easier to explain that yes, I'm from Delhi NCR as a national capital region. So I am not from Uttar Pradesh or Delhi. I'm from Haryana. But I'm from Haryana, right next to the border to Delhi, and both the international circuit is in Uttar Pradesh, very close to the border to Delhi as well. So it's like only like a 2-hour drive away from me, which I understand in UK and Europe terms that's like across the country, but that's a fairly reasonable
It's not too bad. 2 hours is probably like me going to London, so it's not too bad.
That's like you're in the Midlands, in the middle of the lands, and you're going to the bottom basically. So that's like that is kind of across the country.
Kind of across the country.
That aside, the entirety of the of England, let's say, is the size of like Haryana. So that is basically the size comparison we're working for here.
Wow.
So, but anyway, I would love to go to both international circuit because it's a pretty fire track, all things considered, and it is criminally underused at the minute. Like we have plenty of, for a few reasons, like mainly being like a property dispute. Like there is like some pretty big property dispute problems regarding the landowners and the circuit builders, who are two different like companies, and who actually owns the track and has the rights to do things with it and stuff. There is conflict about that. There is also conflict about the fact that literally the entire Indian national racing scene occurs in Tamil Nadu, which is another state which is at the bottom of the track, which is a 2-hour flight away from both international circuits. So it's just like, would that not make the costs skyrocket if all of the national racing shoestring budget, grassroots racing budget people had to take their cars all the way to like Delhi airport? Like that's crazy. That's insane. That's unfathomable, right? And also the fact that like the vast majority of on-track activity in single seaters in India is training sessions for new drivers, where all of the teams combine together, pool their money to rent out the track for 2 days, and that can bring down the overall cost that the driver has to bear. And when I say bring down, I mean incredibly relative term. It is still insane. It's still insanely expensive. Although that being said, I won't say the exact number, not for any like secret reason. I can just tell you if you ask me later on in DMs. But I'm saying this because the standard of what counts as expensive varies wildly from country to country and family to family and person to person. But let me just say it this way. I still cannot afford it in the slightest. But when I went to race in Bangalore last weekend, I was talking to a bunch of people who were testing like proper like national championship, world championship over karts. And first of all, everyone just assumed that I was also one of those drivers because I was like quick and I had like kit and all that, which was agonizing. But other than that, the point was that we were discussing like, why do I not race road taxes and stuff like that? And it's like, I can't afford it. I was just talking to the team owner that of the team I was like hanging out with, because I mean, he owns the local karting track here in Gurgaon. So I have him on WhatsApp and stuff like that. So I was talking to him about it, saying how much does it cost to do like a couple of test days in the national championship karts. And he was like, I'll tell you the number in rupees. It's 90k rupees plus 50k of damage deposit and then plus GST, which is goods and service tax, which for me is like still kind of out of reach to just drop on a whim like that. I can't do that. But like clearly these guys can. But what I found out when I was discussing it with them is the fact that like they were saying to me, "You're clearly insanely quick. well, you're quicker than us even. So it's like, why don't you do it? Like, I feel like you could get a pretty good discount if they saw how well you were doing. And then we were discussing, and I said this is how much he said it was when I asked him. They were like, oh my god, okay, we played a lot more than that. So I was like, okay, even when they bring the cost down, it's still out of my reach. You know, that kind of problem.
Crazy.
So imagine if they were trying to do that, but instead of having to pay for a pretty small time Curry Motor Speedway in Coimbatore where they're already based, they had to fly 3 hours all the way, like I want to say like 3,000 kilometers all the way to Buddha International Circuit, and then pay the fee associated with renting out an ex Grand Prix circuit. Like that's crazy money in comparison. So they just don't do it. Like it just doesn't make any financial sense. So the only people who actually end up using it are people who own like Lamborghinis, Ferraris, stuff like that, who just want to do a track day for fun. Which they were actually doing earlier today, and I was seeing on people's stories, and I feel very, very offended and very racially discriminated against to not be invited to. Joke. I'm joking. They are all also Indian. That is the joke. But yeah, I would have loved to go there, but I unfortunately don't have any supercar owning friends, so I will be working on that.
Unfortunately. That's okay. I'll get a supercar, and then you'll have a supercar owning friend.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I was about to say, like, having one is all well and good, but it has to come here as well.
The thing is, I don't like flying, so you know what? I'm gonna just ship.
You'll send the car on my.
Yeah.
You know what we can do. In the passenger seat, right? We can rig up like a camera to be exactly where your head would be, and it could be like a 3D like VR camera, and you could just you can be in the car with me. That would be the true enhanced experience, other than just me vlogging it and sending the video later. That would be the true experience. But yeah, basically we could do that.
Cool.
This is good though, you know. On the non F1 Grand Prix weekends, we get to talk about Neil Basu racing.
We can talk about anything we want. So
we can talk about anything. There are no laws.
There are no laws. To our listeners, please do let us know which
we can legally kill you. In fact, we will legally kill you. Enjoy the next 45 minutes. I would recommend start running.
No!
Every second that you're not running, I'm getting closer. Yes, I'm looking at you. I'm talking to you, listener. Whoever's in the car right now. Listening on your car radio. I'm listening to you. I'm talking to you. I see you.
Yeah. Jonathan.
Honestly.
I don't know.
Anyway, there's got to be at least like 5-10 people who are like, what?
Do you remember
this is
when
crazy.
you randomly said Jonathan that one time?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Long story, guys.
It's a very long story.
So we do need to start wrapping up now because my lunch is ready. Which it's been
no,
fun.
I must say though, I much prefer being able to do a podcast when the sun is still available rather than like 1 a.m. which is
the sun is clearly here as well. Yeah.
The Australian Grand Prix will be at 10:30 in the morning, so you guys can look forward to hearing from me after that one.
I'm gonna ask one final question.
Oh my god, yes.
If you could bring back any track, I feel like I know what your answer is going to be. Bring back any past track to the F1 calendar. Which one would it be?
Donington Park. I know that's a subversive answer. Given
I didn't think you'd pick that. Yeah,
Donington Park. It's not gonna be a good race for F1 Twitter, but it'll be a good race for my heart, and that's all that matters because I'm the one being asked the question.
Shout out to my local track.
Shout out to I'm gonna claim
our
it as
local track, yeah.
Because when I'm in the UK. Wait, okay. To be honest, it doesn't matter. I can't make that distinguishment given how close we live to each other when I am in the UK. But it's also my local track, guys.
We're gonna have to.
I love you, Donington.
We're gonna get a map. We're gonna work out whose local track it is, who's geographically closer to Donington.
I think it's me. Because we have to go through. I think we have to go through Nottingham City Centre. Don't we have to go past it to get to the the highway or the motorway.
Anyway,
it's me, guys. I'm claiming the win. It doesn't matter. Michael Massey isn't here. He can't manipulate it. There's no laws, and I will take the trophy whether it is given to me or not. I will take it.
Well, congratulations, Neil. It's your home
This is like when Max Verstappen just instinctively sat down in the P1 in the Cooldown Room in Saudi Arabia. Oh my god, guys.
Cooldown Room reference.
This has been a really great way to outro this podcast, guys. Thank you so much for listening and watching.
Be sure to like and subscribe.
The full-time host to the actual outro, but be sure to like and subscribe and hit the follow button on Spotify if that is indeed where you are listening, Jonathan.
And then...
Be careful. I will be under your bed tonight. Thank you so much for listening, guys.